The issue of bullying in schools has yet again come under the spotlight after an Eastern Cape learner allegedly committed suicide after allegedly being bullied. The Eastern Cape Education Department has instituted a multidisciplinary team to get to the bottom of this incident and provide psychosocial support to the learners. Now, for more on the story, we're joined by Mr. Mbulelo Mpupu, who is the Chief Director in the head of a department at the Eastern Cape Education. Thank you so much, Mr. Mpupu, for joining us today. From the preliminary studies and the preliminary investigation that you have done, what happened?
Thank you very much, Msasazi. From our preliminary investigations, we have actually revealed that the girl, Nako girl, Lilata, who is now the deceased, had a spiritual calling. And this was basically known by the school because learners in Headless reported this matter to the teachers. And because of that, then the teachers actually invited the parents of the learners, 3 learners who are allegedly being bullies, and also the parent of the learner, Latita, who is the deceased. And they tried to have a meeting wherein they were to discuss the home background of Latita and also to get into the mannerism that was actually showing off to on the side of the learner. However, Latita's family was not available until Tuesday the 16th, when 2 of the family members came to the school to report that they heard that Latita is supposed to bring forth her parents, but then the parents of the 3 other girls were no longer at school at that time. So they had actually had to reschedule their own meeting so as to engage on this matter. Unfortunately, on the 17th, only to learn that Latita would actually commit suicide. Then on the 18th, on Thursday, 2 of the family members came to school to report that Latita is no more. So this is what we are getting from the school management team, the principal, and also the HOD, who was assigned a task of going through this particular problem. So that's what we are having at the moment. But of critical importance on us is that we must establish as to when did this thing happen for the educators to know about it, and also what steps were taken, and also the issue of our the social support in terms of the family, how they fared with the matter. So basically, we still have got to actually dig deeper in our investigations and see what really obtained, because we also want to know so that our means of intervention can actually be informed by facts.
Mr. Mpupu, how long had Latita been at the school?
Latita started grade 8 in this school in 2018, but however, we are getting that since 2019, there were these signs of spiritual call by Latita.
Now, some of the reports that we're hearing, and you can verify or discredit these depending on what the facts are, is that one of the teachers accused Latita of witchcraft. Is there any truth to that allegation?
There is that allegation. We have actually got the allegation. However, because this was a multi-stakeholder meeting, we were not actually sitting a kind of a tribunal or actually an investigation at the moment, but it was just a fact-finding and also to make sure that we actually prepare ground so that learners can continue with their examinations. So that was the intention of the multidisciplinary session, which was actually inviting stakeholders to be on board, so that we are seen to be moving with this issue as the Department of Education. So, as the investigation is starting today, we are going to actually interview all the people who are actually pointed out in the allegations, and also to go beyond and talk to learners in the class and others. So as long as we get the leads, such people will be engaged, because we want to actually get truth of what is really taking place in this school.
So what then is the next step in the next process? I understand that it's still very early days, and when you find the merits of this case, and when you find out exactly what happened, who said what to whom, will you be better able to tell us, what the measures are that you, as the department, will be putting in place? But for now, what type of support system is being given to the learners? Because it must be very traumatic for them to have lost a peer, specifically during this time when some are even writing exams.
Truly, it is a real traumatic incident, to such an extent that it is surely disturbing the very learners in their examination. The school administration itself and also governance is highly disturbed as we speak. In fact, as you interview me, learners are outside making demands that the principal must leave the school, the teacher in question should actually leave the school and all that. But basically what we are doing as a department is obviously to deal with the investigation, but on the other leg, we are actually giving the psychosocial support to our learners. We want to have calm in this school so that we attend to psychosocial needs of learners because of the trauma that has been experienced. Together with the teachers, they also need some support. So as the Department of Education, we are collaborating with the district office, taking on board all our specialists who are the psychologists, the social workers, and all our specialists in the field of psychosocial. So that is what is happening.
All right,
so
looks like
as we move, then also we have agreed, because also it's a matter of the recognition of a religion or the belief on traditional healers. So I have said to the traditional healers, because they have their own organization in the province, and they were here, the provincial organization for traditional healers. So I've actually invited them to come to my office so that we actually get into an engagement. So they present, and we also come up with means of making sure that the belief itself, the religion, is actually understood in the sector. So we are basically hoping to have a program that will be rolled out to actually educate our people, our learners in schools, that we are a country that is having a constitution that accepts and welcomes all religions. So even this one is welcomed, and it must be actually respected.
Chief Director, there are many instances where learners can be bullied, and many sources of bullying. It can be difference in religion, it can be difference in gender, it can be difference in the way a person looks, etc. How is the department ensuring that learners are sensitized to how to deal with those who are quote-unquote different to them, and perhaps even teachers as well? Because, this is one situation. It happens to be a spiritual issue at the core of this one. But there's so many other issues that can often be used as an inroad and as an excuse for bullying.
Surely I agree with you that there's so much of these areas that are actually sources of bullying. That's why we are actually coming up with a comprehensive strategy of dealing with bullyism in our schools. So there is a directorate that is taking lead in that, which is actually a directorate on inclusive education, and also a directorate that is actually dealing with school governance. We are having such directorates that are actually engaged directly on this matter. So we are looking entirely on all the forms of bullying and their sources thereof. However, this one we also have got to actually give its own due and make sure that we also study it well, so that we can actually come with proper interventions and responses.
Chief Director Mbulelo Mpupu, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Very much appreciated. A very disturbing story there of the suicide of a young girl due to bullying at schools, as well as the interventions that the Eastern Cape Department of Health is going to be putting in place to ensure that they educate not only the learners but the teachers as well on how to deal with difference. Thank you very much. That's Chief Director Mbulelo Mpupu.